Hello everybody and welcome back to RPG Horror Stories. I'm Firestar, I'll be your host, and I hope you enjoy your stay today. Today we'll be looking a bit into some monster players who weren't quite monsters to begin with. Let's get into it. Our first horror story is titled, Our DM Insta-Killed the Party and Now Some of Us Want to Quit. Posted by u/noincident2097. I have been part of this campaign since the beginning, about 2 years ago now. We've all known the risks that come in playing D&D, and we've gotten into multiple sticky situations and have almost died multiple times. This week's session was a little different. We had a cursed sword that our rogue grabbed in the night, and the DM had him kill the entire party in the middle of the night. But it wasn't just that he attacked, he had the rogue insta-kill every member of the party, and now it feels like these characters that we worked so hard for have died for nothing. This has led to multiple people being really upset that they died out of combat without a chance to react or giving them a shot at survival. This also has led to multiple players not wanting to continue, or make new characters. Am I wrong to agree that it was pointless to kill all of us and make us restart from scratch after 2 years? Note, I am newer to D&D, and I don't really know what I should think. Should I tell the members that it happens, or should I tell them that they have a right to be mad? After much discussion with the DM and other members saying they will never play again, he has decided to reverse the whole situation. And there's a bit more discussion in the comments. Want to quit? I'm amazed no one got up in the middle of the game and left on the spot. And the OP responds, one did. Assuming that you can just have one of your party grab a sword and then insta-kill everyone else, without even giving the other players a chance to wake up and potentially fight back. I understand where the rogue might have been a bit of a kleptomaniac, maybe they had been grabbing things they shouldn't have, didn't really consider if this was a cursed item. It's understandable to have some kind of consequence for the rogue, maybe take their character away, pilot it around for a while, say, hey, your character is now going to attack the others, but at least give the others the chance to defend themselves and maybe put a stop to the rogue. At worst, maybe they have to kill the rogue and potentially revivify him or have the rogue make a new character. But punishing the entire party for no reason is ridiculous. And I would say that maybe this was a newbie DM mistake, but they've been going for 2 years. What's the point of this? Was there some kind of issue out of game we didn't know about? Did the DM want to have some kind of strange afterlife campaign? It actually brings some memories back about one of my very first campaigns that I got into D&D with. I had gotten in with more experienced players and an experienced DM who ran Adventurers League a lot. I think we were running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, but I don't quite remember. All I know is that we were going back and forth between the major dungeon under Waterdeep and trying to get down to lower levels. And at one point, slight spoilers for the campaign, there was an aboleth, and I was in college at the time, and I had classes that interfered with my ability to play every scheduled session. So I ended up having to miss a few sessions in a row, and they said it was fine, they'd just run my character as staying at the tavern or what have you, but this aboleth ended up TPKing the party. And apparently, the DM later said that this was a forced TPK. There wasn't ever a chance for the party to escape and survive this TPK by the aboleth, because the DM decided that he wanted to force the party into a deal with some kind of demon or deity or what have you for some strange plot beat that no one was really interested in. There were other issues that the players had with the DM that I didn't recognize because I was new, and this whole situation sort of just blew up the entire campaign, and we did not have any other sessions after that. I actually don't even talk to any members of that group anymore. Not really on any part of their own, but it was an interesting introduction to D&D, I'll say that much. I am glad that I've managed to stick around and find other groups that I've enjoyed, but yeah, even experienced DMs are not immune to just randomly TPKing the party just because they want to. Or maybe they have some story beat that is not that well thought out. Our second horror story is titled, DM turns party into monsters. DMPC easily kills entire party. Posted by u/mysteryfox1618. This was the most bizarre experience I've ever had. It was meant to be a D&D 5e one-shot with homebrew elements run in person by someone that I didn't know that well. I was invited by my friend, who was another player, and they told me that this DM had been really good in the past. I took their word for it and agreed to join the one-shot. The party consisted of me, Bard, my friend, Cleric, Barbarian, and Sorcerer, and of course, DM. The one-shot started pretty standard with no red flags. The party met in a tavern as a group of strangers who all took the same job from an Adventurer's Wanted poster. We met with the NPC who assigned the job and were sent on our way. Our party had to travel up this dangerous, spooky mountain to what appeared to be an abandoned manor at the top. The DM explained that many rumors described this place as being super haunted and filled with monsters. It was around Halloween in real life, so the spooky theme seemed fun. Halfway up the mountain, DM describes an encounter with a werewolf. This werewolf was extremely overpowered, to the point where a group of level 5 adventurers stood no chance against it. It was rolling attacks that did upwards of 25 damage per turn. I think the least amount of damage it did was 15. Suffice to say, my character did not live through the encounter, and neither did sorcerers. Cleric and Barbarian were able to flee the combat after Barbarian rendered the werewolf prone for 2 turns. The DM then asked us to hand over our character sheets and gave us pre-made characters. I was playing an extremely powerful vampire that had abilities and powers I had never heard of. I assumed these things to be the DM's homebrew. An example of one attack I had was called Touch of the Undead, which functions similarly to Burning Hands but with necrotic damage, and I rolled 5d12 for damage. It was crazy overpowered, and I was confused about why it was like this. The DM explained to me and Sorcerer that our new characters were not yet in contact with the party. They were in fact waiting for the party's arrival in the manor up ahead. I asked if we were meant to team up with the party, and the DM got noticeably irritated, as if it were obvious what we were supposed to do. DM told me that Sorcerer and I would stop at nothing to see the party eradicated. Sorcerer mentioned that our characters seemed too strong for Cleric and Barbarian alone, and DM told him that there was a reason for it. We carried on. Cleric and Barbarian finally managed to make it to the manor after barely avoiding and escaping 3 other overpowered monster encounters. They both had extremely low health, and Cleric was almost out of spell slots. They tried to find an alternate entrance to the manor, not wanting to use the front doors that were an obvious trap, but DM railroaded them into using them. As they entered the manor, they encountered Sorcerer and I. We all rolled initiative, and the battle was over in round 1. The DM handed Cleric and Barbarian new character sheets that were also overpowered monsters. Suddenly, a paladin in shining golden armor burst through the front doors. "I have come to stop your reign of terror, monsters! You will pay for the innocent lives you've taken," he yells as he points his sword at you threateningly. You all recognize him as the legendary elf paladin Elwyn Clary, vanquisher of evil and slayer of monsters. The DM said this to us with all seriousness. We exchanged looks with each other. I don't think any of us knew how to react. The DM gave us a look that was a mix of irritation and confusion. "Aren't you going to attack him?" Barbarian rolled to attack, landing a nat 20 plus 7 to hit. "It misses," the DM said with a smug smile. We proceed to get our shit absolutely rocked by the DMPC. This paladin was hitting us with unreal amounts of damage and barely taking a single hit in return. I think we hit him maybe twice in total. I'm not even sure what the paladin's AC was, but it was clearly insanely high. My monster character had a total of 300-ish health, and I was down to 2 turns. The levels of damage he was dealing made no sense. After the paladin killed our entire party, the DM thanked us for coming to the game and asked how we all felt about it. Barbarian was straight up honest and told DM that it was ridiculous. It was hardly a game at all. DM and Barbarian got into a small argument, and all the players, myself included, left shortly after. I never attended a game run by this DM again. My friend, Cleric, who invited me, apologized for the way the game went and explained that DM had never done anything like this before. They told me that the DM had always run interesting and entertaining one-shots and short campaigns, and never once inserted overpowered DMPCs. Cleric did say that DM had an NPC character that was based on DM's past campaign characters, but had supposedly never been problematic, and served more as shoutouts to past campaigns the DM took part in. Cleric participated in one other one-shot run by the DM after this, and told me that they left early because DM was inserting overpowered enemies, and Cleric did not want to stick around for the eventual DMPC boss fight. And discussion in the comments goes something like, I love the part where the player rolls a crit and the attack still misses. OP responds, "I know, right?" Barbarian seemed pretty frustrated by it, understandably. Someone else responds, "That would be the point where I would leave, or at least start digging around, because the game has clearly left any semblance of rules behind. If you can't hit an enemy on a nat 20, then the fight is mathematically impossible, so what's the point? What do I do on my turn? I don't know. Crap my pants? Who cares?" That is quite ridiculous, because a nat 20 in almost every game that I know is guaranteed to hit. I'm not 100% sure if this is rules as written or just a common homebrew rule that nat 20s always hit, but they should. If combat encounters are balanced correctly, your players should be hitting at least like a certain percentage of the time, and certainly not missing on a nat 20. Even in a very hard combat encounter, there is almost no reason for characters to not be able to hit the enemy with an attack roll. It's ridiculous, and this campaign, this one-shot I should say, seems very much just to be the DM's little power fantasy. Unfortunately, they probably got attached to this character that was in a different campaign. Maybe the character in the campaign wasn't able to be as cool as they thought they should be, and so the DM decided to have this one-shot and show off how cool their character really is, when really showing off this character's strength and coolness just pissed everyone off and took away all sense of player agency. Our third and fourth horror story are related. One is the beginning to the story, and the second is the update. It is titled, "The DM made my character the werewolf all along. I did not know. What can I do?" Posted by u/lowercaregiver2410. I've been playing D&D for about a year now, with my friend who's the DM and part of his group of friends. I play as a rogue, and the others are a monk, bard, ranger, wizard, and a barbarian. We started in a village where there's a werewolf problem. Our task is to find out who the wolves are and eliminate them before all the villagers kill each other out of suspicion. We thought it was a nice plot twist when the DM told us that one of the werewolves was closer than we thought. At first, we thought it was one of the NPCs who helped us in the quest, or maybe even the one who gave us the quest. It was also fun when we found out that one of the players was secretly the werewolf. We all assumed that one of us had agreed to it with the DM from the beginning, so now it was just a, gee, who made the most mistakes or killed the fewest werewolves kind of game. But no. Yesterday we all found out that I was the secret werewolf. In fact, I had also caused the most civilian victims in the meantime. Where the other players were given the choice of do you kill her or not, I was given the choice of do you kill the rest of the villagers or not. The session was ended very quickly after that. I protested because I didn't know. The DM had even edited part of my backstory. Is that allowed? Some of the others also thought it was strange and wanted to let my character live. Some of them thought that it was fun like this and that I could easily create a new character. What should I do now? We stopped right before the fight between the other players and me along with some of the werewolves, but I really don't like this, and the DM doesn't want to change it. Is this a normal thing to do? I don't really know what to think or do about it and why the DM did this. I feel insecure now. I wonder if it might be because he preferred a paladin instead of a rogue. He said that wasn't the case when I asked him, but why else would he be doing it? At the beginning he asked me several times if I really didn't want to play a paladin, so I'm wondering if it had to do with that. Edit. Okay, wow, I did not expect to get so many responses. I'm unsure whether to post or ask this, but I'm glad I did. Thank you all very much for the info about D&D, DM, and werewolves. Also thank you very much for all the tips and possible solutions. I'll write it all down because I have a meeting with the DM and the players in a few days. So far, 2 of them, the wizard and ranger, want me dead. One of them, the barbarian, wants to keep me alive, and the others are in doubt. Barbarian wants to stand up for me, but also fears the DM might do something to her character if she does. I hope we'll get a solution that we all agree on. Some more info that I gave in response to comments. There was no sign in advance that anything was wrong with my character. No strange nights, blood, or other unexplained things. Could hold silver just fine and took normal damage to everything. So, nothing, and then I'm a werewolf, and I've committed 15 murders on the current location. So far, the DM also changed the whole reason I went on a quest and came in with the group, and is keeping a lot of details about that secret. Like, at first I left in order to find something for someone else, but now I was banished from my hometown because I committed a few murders there as a werewolf. I don't know how or when I became one. I also don't know who I killed in my hometown. The intention of this normal campaign was to play this as an intro and then continue from level 5 to the real campaign. We are all now level 4. I'm an elf soul knife rogue. And our update to this story. Some of you asked for an update, so here it is. I had to rewrite it for posting, after calming down, to make it more readable. Long story short, the ranger knew about it. It was a plan to get rid of the rogue, so I left the table, and Barbarian did the same. The long story. So I had written down all of the things I wanted to ask and say, and thanks to you all, I had a list full of options and possible compromises. So I thought I was completely prepared. I first gave the talk, which was recommended, about how I thought it was a nice idea that I was the werewolf, but that the execution was a bit unpleasant for me, because this way I couldn't play my character the way I expected. I didn't feel completely comfortable with how my backstory was suddenly different, and I'm not sure how to play my character now, without knowing her background, and I said that I hope for a different choice because the kill the party or be killed does not feel right. So, to get to an idea that we could all agree on, I started with 2 questions. 1. When did you decide that my character was a werewolf? 2. Can we go through what you now have as my backstory? After I gave the whole speech, DM started to give some strange excuses and stories about how he had this plan for a while, but each time he didn't know how to approach it in the campaign. Until he talked to Ranger about it and he gave this idea. Ranger took over. He told me this way it would suit his backstory and get me to have a spectacular ending as my character. This got Barbarian upset, who said things like, so it wasn't planned, and you singled her out and lied about it? And why the hell would you want to get rid of her that badly? What is wrong with you? DM turned red and said, don't be so angry and let us finish, so she did. DM and Ranger both explained that in their previous campaign they had an annoying rogue, who always wanted to be the center of attention and often got the party into trouble. DM assumed that I'm not like that, so when I first indicated that I wanted to play rogue, he agreed. But after he talked about it with Ranger and Wizard, they started to doubt whether they wanted a rogue in the party at all. So that's where the whole why not play a paladin came up. I was certainly not as annoying in the game as the previous rogue, they admitted, but Ranger and DM still didn't enjoy playing with a rogue because they still got annoyed by the rogue traits. They found it annoying that I often looted defeated enemies, and that I was often the one who opened the most chests. I thought that was normal for rogues, like, I am the one who has to pick locks, and most of what I found I would also share with them, but okay, I let them talk. So, much later in the campaign, they came up with the plan. The whole werewolf plot twist, so that way my character could be killed, and I would have to make a new one. After that, DM would say that I was not allowed to choose rogue again. Because after everything, the party now no longer trusts rogues in the game. Before the plan was made, the daughter of the person who gave us the quest was the werewolf all along. That's why there were no hints or clues that it was me, because it wasn't decided until the last minute, and they had hoped that I would not ask questions like I'm doing now. After their entire speech, I really didn't know what to say. I was pissed off that they were targeting me and my character, and sad that I'd been lied to. If they just said, hey, it looks like you want to play a rogue, but we prefer not having one in the party after the last player, I would have chosen something else. It wouldn't have been a problem, and this never would have happened. So, I left the table, and after some shouting, Barbarian did too. Wizard later on sent me a message that he was sorry it happened, he knew they were planning something but didn't know it was this. DM sent me a message asking if I would reconsider, and Barbarian got the same. I sent him, next time, write a book. Bard does not know what to do, kinda wants to leave since we're gone, but at the same time really likes D&D. So he fears he'd regret leaving after not even really playing. Monk and Ranger have been silent. Edits. Monk just contacted me. He felt really bad and kept silent because he thought I would blame him too. He texted the group that he wants to leave the table. Eventually, he joined Barbarian and me. We will be doing one-shots soon, and I'll start with one in the Feywild. In the meantime, Bard finally checked his phone. He is now also in our group. When he saw that Ranger was talking badly about me and Barbarian in the old group app, he had enough. This was before he even saw that Monk left. So there are 4 of us now. Sounds like a full group again. Barbarian, Bard, Monk, and me. We have my first one-shot as DM planned. Monk wants to do the second one, Barbarian third, and Bard last. Then we'll choose who likes what and how to proceed. I'm glad that this all worked out. I'm glad for you too. I'm glad that most of the players realized that what Ranger and DM were doing was disgusting and that they shouldn't really stick up for that kind of behavior. I do understand where some of them were a little wary to say anything in the moment or to do anything and make decisions, because conflict can be difficult for people and a lot of people handle it very differently. But in the end, I hope that you all enjoy your new one-shots and start a new campaign where you can all play anything that you want. Getting upset about people playing certain classes is so silly to me, I think. I understand where some people might have bad experiences with some classes, especially if they've played with people who fall into stereotypes, like the bard who always wants to seduce something, or the rogue who steals everything, and things like that. But not all bards and rogues or other classes are always the same, and as long as you have a good player and you make it known that you don't really want to deal with that at your table, like these certain stereotypes, then they should listen and they should be able to tailor their rogue or their bard to that expectation. One way or another, it is very upsetting that they ended up trying to get rid of rogue by making them the unknown werewolf. I think it's awful that they messed with their character so much and rewrote their entire backstory, didn't drop hints or anything because it was a last-second decision, and decided that that was the best way to deal with a character that they didn't want to play with and trying to force this player into a different class because suddenly their character is killed off. Like, of course that would cause resentment. Why wouldn't it? There were no hints, you never agreed to be the werewolf. It's genuinely upsetting, and once again, I'm glad that you left and that you got away from those people. I hope that all of your future games and campaigns go well. And that will do it for this episode of RPG Horror Stories. Thank you all for joining me. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments too. If you'd like to consider hearing more of my thoughts and more in-depth discussions of the posts, let me know. Or if you prefer just hearing about the posts and hearing them be read aloud, let me know. I will try and tailor my content to what people desire. But thanks for stopping by, and have a good one.